Hello guys, we are back with more commentary. Here we have the amazing Jinan. Now, if anyone has heard of the patch notes, seen them, they will know this ship is unfortunately getting nerfed, along with the rest of the line. Are the nerfs fair? I mean, maybe the nerfs if it was torpedoes. Concealment nerfs? Concealment was never an issue with this line. And many ships in this line only took genuine skill for it to be a menace of a line. Kind of like Minotaur in a sense. So it being nerfed is a bit outrageous if you ask me. But besides that, moving on to the gameplay. We are in encounter. You're gonna see me just start harassing this Mecklenburg. Any BB that has a 1v1 Jinan is really gonna be annoyed. This guy's oblivious to the fact that I'm here. He doesn't even notice I'm here until it's too late. So I send Torbs. I'm already running away because I don't want to give broadside to a Mecklenburg. That is exactly how you die in a light cruiser, is if you give broadside. Start a flood, smoke up again, cover my turn. Send the other 10 tours. I mean, you see, this is I can see why this is a problem in the good hands. Is that, you're gonna see me. I've already done 50k to this Mecklenburg. We're only 2 minutes in. I'm already at 53k. And well, yeah, if you straight line in a Mecklenburg to Jinan Torps, well, yeah, that's what happens. Anyone who's seen the Somers video, you've seen the straight line in Colombo. It is a lot easier to hit battleships in the Jinan compared to the Colombo. Because, well, the Somers had slower torps, but that's a whole different thing. Well, actually, with this cam, I have 72 knot torps. So, here I'm moving up. I'm going concealed because, again, I don't want to be spotted often. The ship's actually quite fast. 36 knots for a cruiser is faster than some destroyers. So he's here I see the Minotaur. He's not shooting at me, so I open up. The gun DPM on Jinan is actually amazing. Realistically speaking, like, it's literally some of the best tier 10 for cruisers. So we just open up. I mean, it's just consistent gun DPM. Obviously, Minotaur's like no armor, so like HE full pens Minotaur deck at range. I see this actually is a boss CV. This isn't a real CV. So I'm at 90k. We still 4 minutes. I'm at 90k. I send Torps to the Haku, hoping he doesn't dodge, because bots have a tendency to dodge, which is not really ideal in a Torp ship like Jinan. The guns are good in Jinan, but you're not in Austin, right? You're not meant to gun things down. I don't know if I Torp dodge this. Oh yeah, this is the intense torp beating moment. I dodged the bot CV torps. This is a big mistake from the gearing walking up to me like this. Oh yeah, you could see that we just completely nuked that Haku's HP with torps. Gearing wants the 1v1. Now, if the gearing had YOLO'd me, this might have been a different story, but like YOLOing a Jinan and a destroyer that is slow leg gearing is not an easy feat. And actually, if I was in the gearing, in that situation, I would have shot AP, because AP can citadel Jinan and gearing at range. Also, I think this is a lag torp that hits me. Yeah, it's a lag torp. That should have been a dodge, but it was a lag torp, so. I don't have DFA, but it's about Haku, so the planes aren't really a threat. At least not the dive bombers. See, we lose a lot. Like, one salvo from Minnow does 3,000, almost 3,000 damage to us. Like, you can see that Minotaur hurts against this thing if they start landing shells on you. So I start getting the hell out of there. I'm shooting HE at this Minotaur. He damage controls. He gets deleted by it. He gets deleted by it incomparable. And now it's just the gearing. I'm surprised the Haku survived as long as he has, considering that I nuked him with Taurus earlier. We're at 142k. I mean, obviously, this was a bot that I farmed like at least 40k off. Well, not more, like more like 30k, because bots are unupgraded, so it was more like 40k. Not 30k. Excuse me, that I took off that Haku. I actually had an AFK Montana on my flank the whole game. Gearing, this is a mistake, dude. I'm just trolling this guy with torps. These can't actually hit him because they're deep waters. I'm just trolling him. I don't remember if he trades with me. No, he doesn't trade with me. I'm gonna Jinan. Now, in terms, this is a 154k game. In terms of Jinan in the meta, it's quite a capable ship. Keywords I should say, in the right hands. Because the average Jinan, well, they don't really, understand what concealment is, and they just start shooting their guns half the time early in the game, which is not what I recommend to do. Jinan is a torp ship first, and always will be a torp ship first. Like, the guns are great. Don't get me wrong. The guns are amazing. But the torps are where it's at. They really are where it's at. And you shouldn't be shooting your guns first, unless it's like a DD heavy game and you kind of have to. The way I would build Jinan, there's two ways you could build it realistically. I mean, you could go meme AA, which I would realistically not recommend to anybody to do because, well, you kind of need the concealment mod and everything else to work. First slot, the first slot doesn't really matter for Jinan because it's all gun based, which, well, I just told you that Jinan literally is not a gunboat first, so it doesn't matter which you put in the first slot. Just put, the only ones I recommend is reload or dispersion. You really don't need turret first in Jinan. 40-degree turret first. Lead gun operator as your lead ship choice, and of course set standard for cruisers, propulsion concealment. For me, at least. I run historical camo. There is this special camo. I think it's Silk Dawn. That's what it is. Silk Dawn. You could run that camo if you have it. I mean, there's no point spending money if you have the camo. I mean, it's not a bad camo. I just prefer historical, simply because I like playing more of that torp role more than the gun range role. Because, well, a lot of the good Jinan players will tell you that the guns are not really where the ship shines. They're great guns. If you have to use them, they're great. You just don't really need to use them 90% of the time. Again, unless you're in a DD heavy game, or if the enemy team is oblivious, you really won't be using your guns often compared to other light cruisers at this tier, like the Minotaur, the Colbert, the Smolensk. The Worcester when he has guns. I mean, the Austin. You get my point. Jinan, did it deserve the nerf? It deserved. If there was ever going to be a nerf to Jinan, it shouldn't have been the nerfs it got. Concealment nerf, I think, is a bit. The concealment nerf was excessive, if you ask me. Losing DFA 4 made zero sense because the Jinan is based off the Austin, which is literally a designed cruiser for AA purposes. It is an upgrade. It is a designed, more modernized Atlanta. Its only purpose was to defend against carriers at the time. There's no reason it shouldn't have DFA 4. The other nerf was a DPM nerf, but like 0.2 seconds. I mean, okay, I'll take it. I mean, again, the guns were never really a problem with the ship because only the bad players would be shooting them half the time. The rest of it, I mean, well, Sejong didn't really get affected. I mean, concealment nerf always is gonna suck for any cruiser in the game. Sejong, though, didn't really get touched. Same thing with Shumfan. Besides torp range, Shumfan really didn't get that touched. Harbin, though, Harbin got nerfed to the ground. They really did. I don't know who at Wargaming didn't like Harbin. Someone didn't like Harbin. Someone was overperforming in Harbin. Losing the gun DPM isn't really the biggest issue because it was only a 0.3 second gun reload loss. It sucks. I mean, you lose effective DPM, but it sucks. The biggest nerfs here are the last three, though. Torp range reduced from 9 to 8.4 kilometers. That is a pretty significant nerf because that is over half a kilometer loss to torp range. Now, this wouldn't have been bad in itself, but they also nerfed the concealment from 7.8 to 8.28, which means that your base effective torp your base effective stealth torping abilities is not even 200 meters. It's not even that. It's 120 meters. Now, this is pretty bad in itself for Harbin. The final smack in the face is a nerfed Fuel Smoke of Fuel Smoke 2 to Fuel Smoke 1, the same thing that Shumfon has. Why Harbin needed to get nerfed this hard to the ground is beyond me. I think Harbin was pretty balanced overall, more or less because of the fact that the ship didn't have as many torps as Sejong or Jinan, and it didn't have the the balancing factor with Harbin compared to Sejong and Jinan is I found is that Harbin didn't have the AA of the tier 9 and 10, which was that it was a lot more vulnerable in CEV heavy matches, which I think was a pretty big balancing factor for tier 8 for a cruiser, a light cruiser at that, because tier 8 has, well, an abundant amount of premium tier 8s. I can't even name all the tier 8 carriers right now. So did the line deserve the nerf? Again, I don't think it necessarily needed a nerf. If there was going to be a nerf, though, I would rather it be a nerf to the torps, just slightly, compared to the concealment, and especially the DFA nerf and the Jinan. But I think a lot of people are going to struggle now with the Harbin specifically, just because it is so much harder to get into torp range now without being spotted, and you have a worse fuel smoke, so you're a lot more vulnerable to battleships and cruisers, heavy cruisers. Also, you're the whole line now, because they well, besides Shumfon, the Harbin, from Harbin to Jinan, the whole line is a lot more vulnerable to destroyers, mainly because their concealment is significantly worse now, which means that DD game with like 3 DDs means that you are super vulnerable to getting spotted. Obviously, again, good Jinan players will never really, care about DDs rushing them, but for the people who are trying to learn the line, it will become a lot more hard. A lot harder to enjoy and a lot harder to improve yourself in the line, just because the concealment in itself is significant nerf. And then, of course, Harbin got nerfed to the ground, because why not? That's just the way I see Jinan. Obviously, everyone else sees Jinan in different ways. But I definitely think that this could have been done in a different manner than the way it was done. And personally, just the way I think the Jinan nerfs could have gone. If they were going to nerf it, they could have done it a different way. Which is not focused less on the concealment and the survivability of the ship, more focused on the, crazy torp damage that it does, which it is crazy in good hands. But again, I never found Jinan or the whole line an issue if it was a newer player to the game. So that's just the way I think. And that will be it for this video. It's a bit of a longer one, but that's just because the whole Jinan nerf kind of got me ranting. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.